Who am I and who are you? The ultimate questions for who we are as whole beings experiencing on this earth in this human journey. And to find the answers to these questions, we are going to be sitting down and exploring the minds for the wisdom and knowledge of the layers that make up our beings. From the mind, to the emotions, to the body, and to the astral with the light body. We will be exploring these different multi-dimensional aspects of who we are as the I Am presence in this world on earth, in the human experience. We'll get to have fun, cracking smiles, and diving deep into the knowledge with different psychics, intuitives, shamans, coaches, teachers, practitioners, and many more different beautiful conscious souls of the everyday life to gather the information we need in order to unravel these layers and become more aware and present in ourself as the whole I Am presence that we are. And I'm very grateful for this and really look forward to the journey. So thank you all for tapping in and being a part of this. And I am your host, Marcus, aka Crystallite, and I will be on this journey with you from the beginning to the end as we travel through the process of clearing layers.
You need to watch this if you've ever wished you could just shake off stress. Ecstatic Dance isn't just a party, it's a powerful healing ritual. Let's break down why it works. Ecstatic Dance is all about moving however your body wants. No choreography, no judgment. As the music flows, you get to release stuck emotions, tap into pure joy, reconnect with yourself. Studies show that free movement lowers cortisol, boosts endorphins, builds community by syncing our energy together. It's meditation in motion, a space where you can let go, feel safe, experience real transformation. Whether you're dancing alone in your room or with a group, Ecstatic Dance invites you to heal through movement. So next time life feels heavy, remember, sometimes the best therapy starts with a little music and the courage to move.
Get ready for a fresh, brand new episode this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, August 31st, on the YouTube channel, Sacred Light Broadcast Network, Facebook Live, Crystal Light Robbins. For this episode of the process of clearing layers, we're going to be deep diving with our sister priestess, Jessi Thomas, the owner and founder of Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle in Pennsylvania. We are going to be exploring the wonderfully fun, beautifully healing, and uplifting ecstatic dance. Not only ecstatic dance, but the unique, authentic way of mixing social work with ecstatic dance. See you guys then. Enjoy the episode. Feel free to leave your comments and feedback. Wholeness and balanced love. Hello everybody, grand day, and welcome to another episode of Season 2 of the Process of Clearing Layers. I'm your host, Marcus Christole, founder of Sacred Light Healing and Wellness, and we are going to be joined by a wonderful guest as we continue to deep dive into this series of exploring our multi-dimensional layers of our mind, body, emotions, and spirit. As we deep dive and explore these multidimensional layers of our human being, we are not just deep diving into these layers, but we are also consciously becoming aware of what it can look like and also how we can holistically and consciously bring healing and restoration to these multidimensional layers. Throughout this series, we have sat with many different practitioners, psychics, visionaries, teachers, and students of the universe. And we have been able to talk about many different subjects, such as organite, astrology, Akashic timelines, shamanism, astral travel, and much more. So as we continue in this second season of this series, you guys can support in multiple ways. And one of those ways is simply like, share, and subscribe. Share with family members, share with loved ones and community this wonderful knowledge and wisdom that can bring holistic empowerment to activating the light within ourselves. Along with that, you can also donate. My donations are down below in the ticker, as well as in the description. And those donations get split between myself and the guests as well. So with that being said, in this episode, we are going to be diving into the uplifting and beautiful subject of ecstatic dance. Ecstatic dance is something, from my own experience and travels, is very unique and authentic to the holder and the host of the space. There's been many silent ecstatic dances I've been to, and there's also been ecstatic dances mixed in with yoga mantras, as well as yogic flows. So with that, we have the honor to sit with our sacred guest for this episode, and her name is Jessi Thomas, and she is a social worker, and she's a facilitator of ecstatic dance, and she is also a ordained priestess. She is the founder of Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle, and that is a women's group based in Beaver County, Pennsylvania. They meet monthly for ceremonies, ecstatic dance, community building events such as tea parties, craft nights, foraging in nature, as well as retreats. Jessi has created a unique and transformative healing modality fusing ecstatic dance with social worker methods like inner child work, cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, and somatic exercises. With that, we are going to go ahead and welcome in our sacred guest this episode, Priestess Jessi. Thank you for joining us, and welcome to the process of clearing layers.
Thank you so much for having me, Marcus. It's a pleasure to be here.
Namaste. It is an honor, and I gotta say, as much as we have just crossed paths, like within a couple of days online, it feels like we were really meant to be here in this moment energetically, and it feels like it's not very foreign either. So I just want to say I'm grateful for this moment, and I'm really happy genuinely to be able to talk about this subject, because it's a subject that is just so beautiful. And I feel like for those that maybe are curious and have heard about ecstatic dance and maybe just haven't seen enough or really heard deeper details of what it is, I think this is going to be a great episode for people to really get an understanding of what kind of beautiful work it can do and transform for our mind, body, and spirit when going into these type of practices and sessions with ourselves and others. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. And my first question for you is, what was your life like, and what were the experiences that kind of were the catalyst in your life that brought you into the awareness of what type of impact and potential for service ecstatic dance and this very unique way of serving it came into your field?
Thank you so much for that question. Beautifully said. I came from a kind of a difficult background, as most healers do, you'll find out in the wild. Healers don't come from a happy background, you know. I had a difficult childhood, and that was followed by a very difficult adulthood as well. I had a lot of trauma in my life. I've almost died 9 times. I've almost been murdered by 2 different men. I have almost died several times from several very serious medical conditions. But I think the most darkest part of my healing journey that has really helped in my service today is the time when my daughter's father, my husband, my first husband, we got married when we were 18, you know, young, dumb love, straight out of high school. Got married, we eloped actually in a little chapel. I didn't even tell my parents at first. It was a surprise to them. Whew. But we got married, and it didn't take very long for things to change in our relationship. It went from happy fun times to, serious bad times real quick. And it became abusive. He got very jealous, and I wasn't allowed to leave the house without him. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I couldn't call my family. And if I did, he'd be standing right there listening to everything I said and telling me what to say. It was very, very toxic, very hurtful, very abusive. And it culminated one night. I went to church with his cousin, and I wore makeup, and he didn't come. And so she dropped me off, and the whole time I was at church, he had been drinking. And when he drank, bad things happened. So I walked in the house, and I could immediately tell from his energy, from his aura, from his eyes, that this was going to be a dangerous night for me. So I immediately just picked up the phone, and I called his mom, who lived just a few miles away, and I asked her to please come over to the house because her son was drinking, and I was afraid of him, and I felt better if she would just come and maybe calm things down a little bit. And I take a drink of water because this story's a little difficult. So I hung up the phone, and I turned around, and he was holding 2 large kitchen knives, and he put them right to my chest. And he told me with a very maniacal look in his eyes that he was going to kill me. And I believed him. In fact, he told me he was going to cut me into pieces with those knives and hide pieces of my body in different places so no one would ever find all of me and he could get away with it. And my heart just sunk into my tailbone. And my only thought was about our 2-year-old daughter who was asleep in her room right behind him. And I kept looking at her door, looking away from him and looking at her door as he was threatening to kill me. And he could see my eyes darting back and forth. And he started to laugh. And he said he didn't believe that our daughter was really his. He thought I had cheated on him, even though I never cheated on anyone. And he said he didn't believe that she was even his, and that he wanted to prolong my suffering before I died. So he told me that he was going to go kill her and make me watch to prolong my suffering before I died, before he killed me. So with that, I gave him a push with my shoulder like a football player. I bum rushed him like a football player, and I rushed into her room. And I did the only thing I could think of to do, because he was following me, running after me with these knives. She was asleep on her little toddler bed. She was only 2. So I jumped on top of her and I covered her body with my body in hopes that he would just stab me and get tired or change his mind and decide not to hurt our baby. So I laid there covering her, every tiny little inch of her body with my body, and just like turtle shelling her from him. And instead of stabbing me, he walked over with the knives to the edge of her bed. And he sat there and he tickled her feet with the knives and just watched me as I watched him. And we sat there like that for a good 10, 15 minutes, but it probably felt like 2 hours. Because when you're in a situation like that, time moves differently. And it changes a person. And in that time, I knew sheer survival and a mother's instinct. And I just waited. I just watched his eyes, and I waited for him to look away for just a second so that I could scoop my baby up and run for the door and hope that I could get her to safety. So I wiggled my arms under her body. I'm still, covering her in case he freaks out and starts stabbing. But the time came when he did look away for just a moment. And I took that moment and I jumped up with that baby in my arms and I started running for the back door because that was closer than the front door. And he came up behind us and he ripped a phone cord out of the wall and he put it around my neck and he choked me from behind. With our baby in my arms crying, "Daddy, stop, Daddy, stop." Time stood still in that moment too. I was able to somehow get my foot up and kick him from behind in his private area. And I was able to wiggle out of the wire because I kicked him really hard, So I ran out the back door holding my baby, barefoot and screaming, "He's trying to kill us, he's trying to kill us," hoping a neighbor would help. And we ended up running around the corner, around to the road. And just as I got to the road, his mom pulled up with his stepdad in the minivan. And I'm screaming, "He's trying to kill us, he's trying to kill us." And they're like looking at me like this. And then they saw him coming out and running. And they're like, oh, this is no good. So opened up the side door and I dove in with my baby still in my hands, still in my arms. And I slammed the minivan door behind me. And just then he slammed into the minivan. And he started like hitting it. And then he went over to the passenger side window where his mom was sitting. And he started punching the window where his mom was sitting, telling her he was going to kill her too for helping me. And we sped off into the night. I ended up staying at a women's shelter for a while, and he ended up going to jail for quite a while. I got my stuff together at the women's shelter. They have a wonderful program there. It's called Arise in Newcastle. They have a wonderful program. I got counseling that I needed. They helped me find a new place to stay. They helped me get all my PFAs. They helped me get a divorce. They helped do all the things that I needed to do. They helped me go back to college because I had started college. I had taken a few years of college here and there. I also went to seminary as well. But they helped me get into Slippery Rock University where I was able to finish my degree. And life got better in some ways, but not in others. You know, I ended up in another marriage that ended up being toxic. That one didn't try to kill me, but it wasn't healthy emotionally. And so I had to leave that husband as well. But here I am. I'm alive. I'm here. I'm healing. I have, like I said, I almost died from several medical conditions. I had 5 pulmonary embolisms in one lung at once. That almost killed me. And then a few years later, I had necrotizing pneumonia in the same lung. I had a hole the size of a lemon in my lung that I almost died from. I was in the ICU for a while. So I've had a lot of physical health problems. I've had a lot of mental health problems, because when you go through trauma, it causes depression, anxiety, PTSD, panic attacks, and it's hard to function. It's hard to have a healthy, happy life. But I managed to find one. You know, I saw a lot of doctors. I was in and out of the hospital a lot. I took a lot of medications for my various ailments. And I was in therapy. I continued therapy. And it was helping a little, but I was still in a dark place sometimes. You know, I still found myself in a dark place. I wasn't well. And I found myself in yet another toxic relationship. Oh boy. So here we go again on this ride. And this time I'm like, you know what? I am not going through this again. I'm going to get myself healed. I'm going to get myself better. And I'm going to make a better life for myself, because I deserve better than this. My kids deserve better than this. They deserve a happy, healthy mom. And I did it for them. So one day I had had enough of feeling sick, feeling sad, feeling anxious all day, every day. And I made a list of all my conditions, all my medical, physical conditions, my mental health conditions, you know, and as a social worker would, I kind of treated it like a little medical chart. And I wrote down like the treatments, you know, the modern Western medical treatments for each, you know, little thing. And then I made another line. And then I made, I did a bunch of research on the recommended holistic treatments to try for each of these conditions. And I just went on a wild healing ride. I started by changing my diet and doing my best to cut out junk food and sugars and stuff. I still have a bit of a sweet tooth, but can't help it. A girl loves chocolate. Can't help that. But I did a lot of, you know, exercising, spending time outside, spending time in nature. That's very important to me. I did a lot of meditating, and I started out 5 minutes a day. That's all I could do. That's all I could handle. My brain just could not stop thinking. I've always got several tabs open, right? A lot of people are like that. But I increased my meditation practice from 5 minutes a day to 10 minutes a day to 15 minutes a day, and so on and so forth. And now I meditate about an hour every day. So with practice, you can get better. I studied a lot of different meditation methods, and I did a lot of other healing things. I took a Reiki class for a very long time, did yoga, I did cacao ceremonies, I did sound baths, I did EMDR therapy, I did a lot of shadow work. Every day I did shadow work, at least 1 or 2 shadow work questions, really deep introspection on that. I did Qigong, I did hallucinogenic plant medicine. I've done all the things, and it wasn't Western medicine that healed me. It was holistic methods that healed me. And then I found ecstatic dance. I had gotten myself to a point where I felt like I was no longer that sick, frail, sad little person anymore. I felt strong and whole, like I always should have been, but never quite made it there. I felt whole in my heart and in my body and in my spirit. So I decided to celebrate my wholeness with a ceremony, because I love ceremonies. So I crafted myself a solo ceremony where I ingested a small amount of plant medicine. I put on some binaural beats meditation music containing 528 hertz, 963 hertz, and 649 hertz solfeggio frequencies. I put on a blindfold and I reclined on a couch for quite a while and I meditated. Started out with a meditation. There's two meditations that are my favorite that I use a lot. One is a grounding meditation. You send your electrical, energetic roots down through the earth until they reach the core of Mother Earth. And then you suck the golden light, healing, universal life force energy up from the core of Mother Earth, up your roots, up into your body until it overflows. And then I did a beautiful light stream meditation, which is my second favorite meditation, where you imagine a beautiful beam of white light coming down over your body from a celestial realm, from a heavenly realm, from God, whatever your beliefs are. And you allow that light to sink into your body, into your energy field, and allow it to do what it needs to do, awaken your cells with a healing energy. And after I did those two meditations, grounding to the earth and grounding to the heavens, I began to see something that probably wasn't there. What I saw was a white grid made of electricity and energy. Kind of looked like a spreadsheet almost. And it shook, it vibrated violently, like, like, oh, this is weird. But then it started to descend. And it grew until it was the size of my body, and it touched my body and went into my body. And then my body started to vibrate too, like the grid was vibrating. And that was a little scary at first, but I had gone through several plant medicine ceremonies before, and you're taught, just surrender to whatever the medicine has to show you, and you'll be okay. So I just surrendered. I didn't let myself get scared. I just surrendered and allowed the medicine to show me what it needed to show me. And it sort of like zapped my body. And then it felt like I was in some sort of a superhero origin story movie or something. It felt like I was getting all these uploads and downloads and upgrades. And it felt like I was a computer, right? And God took out my factory RAM and put in like a state-of-the-art high frequency RAM in its place, like upgrades like you wouldn't believe. And then the vibrating in my body got slowed down. And I'm like, okay, all right, I'm feeling pretty good. This is new, this is crazy, this is great. I'm liking this. All right, I'm gonna finish out this ceremony with some ecstatic dance, and I'm just gonna meditate the rest of the evening. So I had learned about ecstatic dance elsewhere, and I put on some indigenous drumming songs, which is a favorite of mine to dance to, and I just let myself go. Ecstatic dance is movement meditation, so you're not doing any choreographed moves. I'm not, doing the robot or belly dancing or anything. I'm just moving my body in however weird ways my body wants to move to the music, and I'm really feeling it this time because I had just gone through all those factory upgrades that God gave me. And then I'm like, okay, this is the last song. I'm going to put some extra stank on it, which is what I tell all the people that go to my dance ceremonies and workshops. If it's the last song, put some extra stank on it. So I decided for that song that I would embody a divine archetype, which is a dance method that some indigenous practices and other practices throughout the world use as well. And I decided for my divine archetype, I would choose Kali, which is the Hindu goddess of death and destruction. She's a beautiful deity. She comes from the Hindu tradition. And I decided to choose her because I had learned in my research that a lot of women in particular pray to Kali and find a lot of healing through Kali for women who have been through a lot of trauma. And that's been my story. So I'm like, okay, I had been praying to Kali for a little while, working with Kali, and I decided to dance as if I were Kali. So this was a victory dance for me, right? So I'm claiming victory over the grave, over darkness, over my shadow, over my sickness, over my illness, over my past. And I was claiming victory. This was a victory dance for me. So I don't know if you've ever seen an image of Kali, but she's usually portrayed dancing and holding up skulls and blood. And she's got skulls around her neck of her vanquished enemies. And she's dancing triumphantly with her tongue out like, ah, it's formidable. She's the goddess of death and destruction, so she's a formidable force. So that's how I danced. I danced as a formidable force, as a deity, as a victory over the impossible. And once I really felt into the energy of Kali, that's when things got a little mystical, as if they weren't already mystical in that instance. Okay, so I'm dancing, I'm doing my Kali dance, and
experience the transformative power of ancient healing traditions. Welcome to a unique retreat where generations come together to heal and grow. From October 17th to 19th, just outside Cincinnati, dive into a rare generational healing retreat with camping hosted by Marich Christolite of Sacred Life. This retreat is part of the Ancient Medicine Retreat series, featuring the honorable sacred guest, Peruvian shaman Don Eduardo with his wife, and his incredible team that includes Kevin Standing Elk, Jonathan Hernandez, Ashley Ballard, and Chris Rust. Join us for sacred ceremonies, flow shops, and one-on-one healing sessions led by skilled sacred space holders like Violet Lyrafe, Donnie Yvette, Mandy Schmidt, Jean Wilkerson, Cecily Simpson, and Angelic Ray. Feel the energy shift as you immerse yourself in holistic well-being. Bask in the healing power of live music from artists like Amber Echo, Shay Brown, Evan Sturgeon of Sturgeon Friends, Emerald Alliance, Aura de Prophet, and Illuminati Congo. And let's not forget the fire and flow arts that will light up our nights. Nourish your soul with delicious plant-based meals prepared by sacred indigenous chef, Grandma Katie Singing Eagle. Explore the vibrant energy of crystal gemstones with Allie Pratt from Organics Essence Gems and Gifts. This retreat is family-friendly with no alcohol or substances outside of 420. With a dedicated kiddo area and activities led by Shay Brown, everyone in the family can benefit from this healing experience. Thanks to our partnership with AJ Lardy of Operation Oscar Mike Inc., this retreat promises a supportive community atmosphere, especially for military vets looking for healing. Spaces are limited. Contact Marich Christolite at 513-238-5580 for pricing and scheduling if needed. Visit the site on the flyer or the Jotform link in the description to register. Don't miss out on this transformative journey. One love.
I am the light, resurrected from the night. Had to pay that price to achieve new heights. Fight with all my might to enlighten my sight. We coasting with potion, high five to the ground, bitch. We chosen. Silly, got the flow like the ocean. Can escape when your brain is eroded. We got that light. Chakras celebrate, bright. Check my triple sight. Yeah, you know we consciously. We got that light. Chakras celebrate, bright.
And all of a sudden, my body starts doing things that I'm not telling it to do. I get this strange tingling in my body, and my spine shot straight up on its own, and then I felt a hissing in my ear, like the hissing of a snake. And I just, in that moment, just triumphantly hissed back, which is kind of a feral thing to do, but yes, there's Kali. Yes, love that. So I hissed back at the Shakti energy that had uncoiled at the bottom of my spine and coiled up through my spine. That's what made my spine shoot straight up. And then I started dancing. My body was dancing on its own. I was not moving my body. My body was moving on its own, kind of dancing around and sort of like snake-like, like serpentine movements. And then my hands started moving on their own. And I was looking at my hands as they were making these different movements. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like throwing gang signs here. What are these movements? And I just went with it. I just surrendered, as if I was surrendering to the plant medicine, but I was surrendering to the Shakti, to the Kali energy that was inside of me at the moment. And I just let my hands do the weird things they were doing. I later learned those were Hindu mudras. They're the sacred hand gestures used in prayer. And so at that moment, I'm surrendering to the hand movements, and then I felt very warm on the top of my head, like heat, like the top of my head was like burning away or something. And then it felt like a veil was lifted off my head, but not off my head, more like off my consciousness, like a veil of forgetfulness. And suddenly I remembered what I came into this life with, and that was the knowledge that I am just a small part of God, and that we're all people are just little fractals, little pieces of the one big being, the spirit that is all. And we're not separate little individual beings. Sure, we have separate meat sacks, separate vessels, but our essence at its core is all one thing. And not just humans, but also animals and plants and rocks and water. And suddenly I knew myself to be all things. Like my ego melted away and I was no longer in my body. I was everything, everywhere, all at once. I was the wind. I was the oceans. I was Mother Gaia under my feet. And it filled me with the most profound joy. I have never known joy like that. I had never known peace like that. I had never known the joy, a smidgen, an ounce, a millimeter of this level of peace and joy. And I was in this state for a little over 24 hours. Long after the very small dose of plant medicine I had taken had worn off, I was still in this state. And I was connected to all consciousness. It was like being in a hive mind. I could hear all of it. But I didn't want to hear all of it because it was too much. It was a lot of jabbering in there. And I just wanted to keep going outside and being in nature. I just wanted to hang out with the trees and laugh with the birds. And I would go outside and I could see the energetic cords that connected me to the trees, that connected me to the birds, that connected me to the river outside. I could see all these cords. And this was long after the plant medicine had worn off. And it was just the most euphoric state, the most euphoric, peaceful, joyful, childlike wonder state you could ever imagine. And a little over, about 27 hours, I'd say a little over 24 hours later, it ended. A little bit of fear crept in and I could feel like my root chakra closed down a little bit and then I lost the connection to the all. But I didn't lose the memory of that. Like, you can't take that away from me. Okay, I might not be connected to the all with my consciousness right now, but I know it's there and I know I'm part of it, and so is everybody else. So, hallelujah, here we are. And from there, I got, during that time, during that 27 hours, I got a lot of downloads. I got a lot of instructions. I'm writing a book now. I was told I need to go teach this to other people, ecstatic dance, what happened to me through ecstatic dance. So I found a class for therapists and social workers on how to facilitate ecstatic dance, similar to kind of like a dance therapy, how to infuse social work and therapy methods with ecstatic dance and meditation. So I took that class and I got instructions that I needed to get up on a stage at a Viking festival and do this for a bunch of strangers. Now, mind you, I'm in my 40s. I haven't been on a stage in a couple decades. I haven't danced in a couple decades, other than ecstatic dance, which is whatever. So to get on a stage at a Viking festival and perform in front of, there was 4,000 people there, not watching me, but at the grounds, there were 4,000 people. So that was something I did because I was told to do it. And I find that when I get these little voices, these little nudge, these little instructions and downloads that tell me to do something weird, I just do it because good things always happen when I do it. And if I ignore it, something bad happens, So I just go ahead and I just listen and I do what I'm told. And so from there, I found my soul friends, some of the best friends in the world that I have, and we formed Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle. So it started out as just an ecstatic dance circle where we would gather on the solstices and equinoxes for my ecstatic dance ceremonies, which is what I call my ecstatic dance workshops. I call it a ceremony because it's more than just your regular ecstatic dance you would get out in the wild, because I do add in not just the social work methods, but I also add in the priestess methods. We'll have rituals for releasing, we'll have rituals for manifesting, we'll have rituals for connecting to Gaia, different things that a priestess does. So it becomes an ecstatic dance ceremony when you fuse the social work and the priestess work with the ecstatic dance. So that's what makes my ecstatic dance different than other ecstatic dance you'd get out in the wild. So I had a vision that I needed to do this, and I did it. And it's just been growing and growing ever since. In addition to our ecstatic dance ceremonies, I've added other ceremonies. I do cacao ceremonies, ancestor ceremonies, do other kind of ceremonies. We have a lot of community building events. We do craft nights, tea parties, foraging, nature walks, picnics, sound baths. Later on next month, we're doing Into the Cave, a healing journey where I've done this before privately with my friends, but I'm opening it up to the public, where we're going to climb into a cave behind a waterfall. We're going to do a cacao ceremony and a sound bath. And then my other friend, who's an energy worker, is going to do energy work on everybody, as well as we're getting our sound bath. And while we're there, we're going to send healing energy into the waters as well, because that's also one of my divine instructions. I've been doing some healing on bodies of water. Wherever I go, I get into the water, and I sing the Algonquin water song in all 4 directions, and then send healing energy into the waters and pray over the waters.
Well, if that ain't a mic drop, then I don't know what would be. Ooh. Round of applause. Sound the alarm. Oh man. Wow. So I would just like to begin with giving gratitude for your journey and just all that you are and have came to embody and explore on this earth. Thank you very much, and I'm really grateful to cross paths and connect now. I mean, it's really humbling to hear these stories and hear how it is that, you know, we come into these versions of ourselves. You know, it's not always, you know, who we are now that people see as, you know, the one that has had to walk in the shoes to get to where we are. And that's where all the treasures are to me, you know, is what was life like when, you know, you were in your shadows and really was becoming aware of all this conscious life, just like a lot of the folks that are going to be tuning in. And, you know, some of them are at that stage where they're maybe getting a little bit curious, or they may be having experiences that are kind of starting to open them up to a little bit deeper self-awareness. And when they get to hear, wow, like they had been through all of what they've been through and are here today doing what they're doing, but not just doing it, but doing it in a way that is uplifting and vibrant and full of joy. And it really speaks volumes, and it gives people a lot of things to take from that. So thank you again. And I do have a few questions, and I was kind of like keeping tabs in my mind as we were going along. And the first thing I'd like to kind of revisit and bring up is, number one, thank you for your vulnerability about what you had been through and the type of abusive situations that you've been through and had to continue forward from, as I know that cannot be easy. And one thing I want to bring up and highlight is the resource that was able to help you. Now, for anybody else that could be listening or come across this that could really use the same support that you had in your life, where can they kind of find the best resources that were able to help you? And also, like, what area are you in? And what other great resources could you share for anybody in that kind of situation?
What a wonderful question. Thank you for bringing light to that. The resource that I used when I left that abusive situation is called Arise. in Newcastle. It is a domestic violence and sexual assault resource center, and they also have a women's shelter and transitional housing there. In addition, they have therapists, they do groups, and they do community outreach. After they helped me and helped me get back to school, I helped them as well. I interned there. So I got my social work feet wet at the same shelter that saved my life. I had to give back and, help them out with fundraisers and other events. But they're a phenomenal resource, and they are located in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Newcastle, Pennsylvania is about 1 hour north of Pittsburgh. It is located in Lawrence County. And you don't have to live in Newcastle or Lawrence County to seek out the services of Arise. If you live in a neighboring county, you can research and get their services as well. You can commute, and you can do things over the phone with them as well. If you are outside of that area and you are finding yourself in a situation where you need help, you can Google domestic violence resources and domesticviolence.org, and you can find women's shelters, resources, domestic violence hotlines that you can call as well. There's apps that you can use that can keep you safe as well. And if you're in that situation and you're watching this podcast right now, I want you to know that you're not alone and that you can get through this and you can get better. You can get your life back, and you don't have to deal with abuse. You deserve better. A wonderful question, Marcus. Thank you.
Absolutely. Definitely want to make sure we can, give as much as we can in this moment that we have, and really optimize the purpose and opportunity that not only we're bringing out to the public, but the public can come across for their own self. And, I'm also someone that, as a teenager, I experienced my mother go through abusive relationships after my parents divorced. So it was a kind of weird situation for my mind, because my dad wasn't abusive, but then the partners after my dad were abusive to my mother. So I'm definitely well aware of what that can be like, and the type of things that can do mentally, emotionally, and physically as well. So thank you again for sharing that resource and sharing your story today. So continuing forward, I also wanted to ask as well, as you were, really coming out of that lifestyle and really, having to come to a lot of facing of oneself. I mean, that's always something that happens, especially when we go through big transformations and changes of life, is deep reflection and contemplation of where we've been, where we are, where we want to be, and the type of things that we're going to have to build from and really accept where we are. What were some of the tools or some of the practices or one of the resources that was very helpful when it came to basically your own self practices or your own ways with yourself to be able to maintain and really have somewhat of a balance going through a healing and transformation of this level?
Excellent question. First and foremost, meditation. As I talked about before, I stayed consistent, and no matter what kind of day I had, no matter how busy I was or whatever happened that day, I wouldn't let myself down. I made sure I meditated every single day as a promise to myself, as one of my first steps to get better. And like I said, I changed my diet. I got a lot more exercise, spent a lot more time in nature. But then I started doing more movement meditation, Qigong, yoga, the ecstatic dance. And I also did a whole lot of shadow work. I would do shadow work maybe just sometimes a few minutes a day or sometimes a few hours a day. And I would Google endless shadow work questions and look up and just so many lists. And I'd highlight this one, I highlight that one. And I will probably make my own shadow work journal someday. I kind of have plans for that. But yeah, shadow work was one of the big ones. Another tool that was very useful for me on my healing journey was learning the tool of metacognition, because I had a lot of anxiety and a lot of catastrophic thinking and a lot of panic attacks. And metacognition is a tool that I used that really, really helped me break through the anxiety spiral that I would find myself falling into with my thoughts, with my negative thoughts. Metacognition is the act of thinking about thinking. It is the act of stepping out of your thoughts and stepping into the role of the thinker, of the observer of your thoughts. So you're not in your thoughts, you're watching your thoughts. So you're not drowning in your thoughts, you're just watching them. Okay, you're stepping back, you're the observer. Okay, I see Jessi is having this negative thought. Okay, another negative thought. Okay, what are we going to do with this? So to my metacognition, I add skepticism. Healthy skepticism is good for you. Humans on average have over 6,000 thoughts a day. Now, do you think your crazy neighbor, all their 6,000 thoughts a day are true, actual facts? No, right? And neither are yours and neither are mine. Nobody's 6,000 thoughts a day are going to be true. Not all of them, anyway. So in my metacognition practice, I step back from drowning in the thoughts, being mired in the thoughts. I become the observer of my thoughts, and I become the skeptical observer of my thoughts. And I say, is that true? And sometimes yes, of course it's true. And then I got to go to the Byron Katie, the work, and ask myself, but are you sure it's true? How can you be sure it's really true? And when you question yourself like that, you begin to say, okay, what else might be true? Okay, so I think my boss hates me and thinks I'm stupid. Okay, what else might be true? Maybe my boss is treating me like that because they hate themselves and they're just projecting that onto other people. Maybe I am not someone to be despised. Maybe I'm fine and there's something wrong with them. Okay. And it really changes the way that your thought patterns erupt. Once you follow this practice of skeptical metacognition, you really start to believe yourself less and are open to more possibilities of truth. And you see that you kind of create your own negative thought spirals. And oftentimes what you're worrying about isn't even true. So that's another tool that I used a lot. And prayer and meditation were the biggest things, but that skeptical metacognition really did a lot for me and my anxiety, for sure.
Excellent. Those are tremendous examples. Thank you. And actually I do that quite a bit. I never knew what that was called or how to identify it. But the metacognition, I love self-counseling myself, so to say, of just it's experience, and then instead of reacting to the experience, it's all right, I experienced this, now I'm observing what I'm experiencing, and as I observe it, I'm also asking myself about it, just to explore. And then after that, I kind of receive whatever signals and information I need to discern, and I consciously go from there. And Yeah, I'm so grateful for that tool, and especially when you use the breath with it. So it's kind of like the breath is almost like the gateway to it sometimes, where, you know, you get triggered. So then you take the breath, and then that breath can lead you into that metacognition state, and then continue forward from there. So that's something I do quite often naturally, and has been one of my favorite tools to use, because if you can kind of get a lock on the mind in any moment, then you're going to be able to, I would say, probably have a higher probability of bringing stability to yourself, because the emotions, the physical, it's a lower density, lower dimension than the mind field, which means that it's kind of in a way more subject to follow the mind, because the mind has a more expanded field that it works with. And this is also depicted whenever you look at diagrams of the aura and our multidimensional human layers or bodies that we have. You can see that there's the physical body, then there's the energy body, the emotional, the mental, and beyond. And it's kind of like a Russian doll, so to say. And then they expand the further you go. So the mind is more expanded than the physical body, and it's more expanded than the emotional body, which means the emotions follow, and then that follows into the physical body. So thank you again for sharing all those examples of how you were able to bring maintenance and self-love to yourself during that process. That could be, it could be easily a process where, you know, we can go into very dark places with ourselves and maybe neglect our well-being and neglect having healthy routines and things of that nature that could help us. So that being said, I would love to kind of dive into what kind of things kind of happen within the containers of Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circles, as well as the other wonderful sacred spaces that you host as well. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and pull up the images that you sent me.
Why do so many seekers say their lives changed after one weekend in nature? Could a drum beat really open your heart? Come find out at Soul Family Rising. On September 13th and 14th, journey with us to Lake Hope in the heart of Zaleski State Forest, Ohio, for a 2-night elemental drum medicine retreat like no other. Surrounded by ancient trees and fresh air, you'll step into a true soul family, where connection, healing, and laughter are all part of the rhythm. Our flow shops are led by an incredible team. Christina Cheyenne of Sacred Vibrations, Victoria Ann Ilg, Heather Lynn of Heart Alchemy Wellness, and Marcus Christolite of Sacred Light. They'll guide you in elemental practices that bring balance and clarity, tapping into earth, water, fire, air, and spirit. Plus, don't miss our special guest, Chuck Wilson of Walkin' Drums, a master shamanic drum maker whose drum flow shop is truly unforgettable. Whether you're new to drumming or a seasoned spirit traveler, you'll feel the power of rhythm to awaken and heal. All meals, blessed with love and gratitude by Grandmother Katie Singing Eagle, are included, with vegetarian options so everyone feels nourished. Bring your kids, your parents, your friends. This retreat is truly family-friendly, with ages 8 and under free, 9 to 16 just $20, and adults only $55 for the whole weekend. Camping, meals, flow shops, all covered. Just bring yourself, an open heart, and a sense of wonder. Space is limited, so register now by scanning the QR code or visiting the link on our flyer. Questions? Text Marcus Christolite at 513-238-5580. This September, let's rise together. Your soul family is waiting.
And we can kind of go through those, and you can also share as much as you freely feel when it comes to what it is you offer and serve within these spaces.
Yeah. I don't allow video recordings of my ceremonies because the nature of ecstatic dance is you're gonna look weird because you're moving however weird ways your body wants to move to the music. So I do have just photographs of some of the ceremonies. This one's just a headshot I did. I was gifted a fantasy photo shoot package from my dear friend Amber, who is the owner of Shades of Amber Studios. Check her out on social media. She specializes in fantasy photography, so she'll add little magical, whimsical things to your pictures. And so I dressed up in like Renaissance fair clothes and went to the forest, and we did a whole photo shoot together. And then I ended up using them as headshots for professionally, because I kind of have a weird vibey job, so I could just use it like that. So this is just me meditating, and that's just me dancing. I use this one on flyer. Well, my graphic designer uses this one on flyers for my ecstatic dance workshops a lot. Yeah, I love that cloak. That's the bowl of intention. I do use that in ceremonies sometimes. We'll have manifestation rituals where we'll call in what our intentions are for the season. Because I do ecstatic dance ceremonies with Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle on the solstices and equinoxes. So it's a prime time for setting your intentions for the season. And we do that with the bowl of intention. That's me praying over it. Oh, that was the summer solstice ecstatic dance ceremony. That's Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle. At any given circle, we usually have about a dozen women, but sometimes we'll get up to 20 or more women come to our community building events as well. We have tea parties and craft nights and things of that nature. Yeah, that's on my friend Mary's land. Oh, that's my ordination ceremony. We stood in the shallow waters atop a waterfall. We sang the Algonquin water song in all four directions. We sent healing energy into the water. I did a guided meditation to tap into the divine feminine energy that is held in water and suck it up into your body, into your energy, until it comes out the top of your head, and it washes your eyes from seeing anything negative in yourself. It washes your ears from hearing anything negative. It washes your mouth from speaking negative about yourself, and it reminds you that you are one with the waters and you are one with God. And it was just the most beautiful ceremony. We all wore flower crowns for the occasion. We had a little picnic afterwards. It was beautiful. That's me. My dear friend was doing a reading and just saying, the reason I'm like looking like that is because I was just feeling gratitude for my dear friend Amber. She did a reading and she just talked about how much healing she has come through in her own journey just from coming to my ecstatic dance ceremonies. And I was just really touched. So that's me feeling deep gratitude for my dear friend Amber. Yeah.
That's such a beautiful moment to share. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
I anointed them with water as well. It was a whole water-themed ceremony. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Oh, that was on our foraging plant nature walk, and that was a co-ed event. Our guys get tired of hearing about all the good times the girls are having at Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle events, and they get jealous. So they're like, let us have something too. So I started opening up some of the ceremonies to men as well. So sometimes men can come to the Sisterhood Circle, just not the dance ceremonies. And the reason that is because when women are around men in a dance circle, there's a different energy that's around, and they don't feel the same freedom and safety to move their bodies and celebrate each other in the same way, and when it's just women. But yeah, I started adding co-ed events to the community events portion of Sacred Phoenix. So this was at our foraging nature walk, where we took a walk down a nature trail, and we had our beautiful and illustrious plant mama, Katrina Durant, owner of Cat's Treasure Tree, and she is very well versed in plants and tea making and all sorts of things. So she was pointing out, oh, here's mugwort, here's lemon balm, here's peppermint, and everybody had their little baskets. We make little clippings and go home and make your little teas. And that is a beautiful ancient boulder rock formation. This is right by a river. And this is our resting spot where we took a break, and everybody sat on these beautiful ancient rocks that I have like a real deep connection to, because that's where that's my nature trail right by my house where I walk my dog all the time. That's my dog Apollo in the picture as well. The Apollo's represented. So we sat on this beautiful ancient rock formation, and I just led everybody in a guided meditation to connect to Mother Earth. I did that grounding meditation where you send your energy roots down into the core of Mother Earth, and you pull up that beautiful universal life force energy into your body until it overflows. And then we just sat there and we listened to whatever messages Mama Gaia had for us that day. And people got messages, and they found a lot of peace and healing just from that little impromptu meditation we had on our resting rocks. And it was just the most beautiful day. It was a magical day. And shout out to Katrina Durant of Cat's Treasure Tree for being our illustrious plant mama. Yeah, good times.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's the meditation. Yeah. Just connecting to Gaia. It was a beautiful day. And she had a lot to say to some of the people there too. Yeah. That's the fairy tea party. Oh, we had the most wonderful day, Marcus. Oh, it's like 22 or 23 people came. They didn't all end up in the group shot because this was during the drum circle portion, but okay, so me and all my friends got together. We had this fairy tea party, and all these grown women showed up, and they all showed up in costume. Everybody was dressed as a full fairy, and if you didn't have a piece of your costume, then I had a fairy beauty bar vendor named Nikki who was there, and she had, she did face painting and henna tattoos, and she had little wings for sale and flower crowns and feathers for your hair, any of fairy beauty needs you might need. And then Katrina Durant of Cat's Treasure Tree was there doing a craft. We did a magic wand craft. Everybody got to make real magic wands with real crystals in them. We had a beautiful tea party with a beautiful spread of cucumber sandwiches and little nibbles and cookies and petit fours and things. And then after that, we had the most magical drum circle ever, facilitated by my dear friend Michelle Muth, who is the owner of M3 Music Therapy. She is a licensed music therapist. She holds monthly women's drum circles in the Pittsburgh and Beaver County areas. So if you are in the Pittsburgh and Beaver County areas, check out M3 Music Therapy for some beautiful, beautiful drum healing. She really knows her drum medicine. And of course, we had to fairy it up. She brought out this beautiful ancient drum, this djembe that she had gotten from a woman, and it was over 100 years old. And at one point, she put it in the middle of the drum circle, and this was our manifestation ritual for the ceremony, where we would all keep the beat on our individual drums, and then there'd be, 8 to 16 bars where we all just on our individual drums, and each person would get up and we would drum our intention, our manifestation ritual into the sacred drum, the ancient djembe from Africa that she had. And it was just the most beautiful thing. Some of us got up in duos and pairs and drummed our intentions together. I did a beautiful fertility dance around the drum with my friend Lori, who's going through IVF. So pray for Lori that she can get pregnant. And we just had a wonderful, wonderful time. We danced. We ended up doing a little bit of ecstatic dance around the drum circle because you can't hold these girls down. When we hear a beat, we got to move our bodies. There's some women in my circle who are professional belly dancers, and we've got some of us who are very awkward in moving our bodies. And we all danced together. And it was just the most beautiful, beautiful ceremony ever. And it was just a wonderful, wonderful day. Yeah.
Sounds pretty magical to me.
Yeah. Yeah, more of the drum circle. And there we are. I'm making a magic wand at Cat's Treasure Tree Magic Wand Workshop at the Fairy Tea Party. Cat's Treasure Tree will be doing the same Magic Wand Workshop at Synchro Symposium in Slippery Rock next weekend. And I'll be doing an ecstatic dance workshop and a cacao ceremony there as well.
Awesome.
Synchro Symposium is a music festival where they have lots of beautiful live music and artisans and vendors and camping and food trucks, and then there's also workshops where there's artist workshops where you can learn how to tie-dye, or you can learn how to make a magic wand, or you can learn how to make different things. And then there's also other kind of workshops. There's yoga and, my ecstatic dance workshop, and there's like a first aid workshop. So it's almost like Burning Man, where you have this music, but then you also have these workshops, so you can go and learn and have fun. And it's just a beautiful community of free spirits and musicians and artists, and we camp for a whole weekend, and it's just the most healing thing. I can't wait for it. Yeah. That's September 5th through the 7th.
Okay, awesome. Sounds good. It's pretty nice because my partner actually lives in Slippery Rock, so
yeah.
I'll see what's going on. Maybe I can make it out there for like a day at least. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. Yeah. On Friday evening, I'm doing the ecstatic dance ceremony. I'm the closing set after the last band plays, Guild of Gaia. Oh, hey, there's the fertility dance I did with my friend Lori. Yeah, we're dancing for a baby there. Yeah. That is the drum of intention. Oh, hey, there's the cave. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, this was my birthday party where we did a sound bath and energy healing and sent healing energy into Mama Gaia and the waters there at the cave. This is the cave behind Buttermilk Falls in Beaver Falls, Pennsylvania. And we are going to be holding a similar ceremony September 28th. It's the last Sunday in September. Tickets are only $25, and that gets you a cacao ceremony, a sound bath, and an individual session of energy healing from a practitioner as well. So come on down to the cave and get you some healing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I got plenty of Pennsylvania communities, so there'll be some PA people tapping in on this episode.
Awesome. I hope to see them there. It will be a co-ed event. Yeah, there's the falls. That's Buttermilk Falls. That's my friend Jenny. She is a member of Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle and a professional belly dancer. Yeah. And that's Sid, our sound bath practitioner. She will be back for Into the Cave, A Healing Journey on September 28th. You can check out her beautiful crystal singing bowls after you have your cacao.
Yeah, what are those singing bowls in the front that she has?
Oh, I'm going to have to ask her about that. I don't know the name of them, but they sounded amazing. Yeah. It was the most magical day, Marcus. Oh, you had to be there. That's the Heathen Festival. That's the Beaver County Heathen Festival. It's a Viking festival. That's where God told me I had to get up on a stage and dance in front of 4,000 people after I hadn't been on a stage in decades. And I said, oh.
Wow.
And that's what happened. See, that's what happens when you listen to God. When you get direct instructions to do something and you do it, beautiful things happen. Yeah. There's ecstatic dance for you. I'm wearing antlers on my belt. Those are antlers that my dad shot a deer many years ago, and he was moving, and I said, "You gonna keep those antlers, Dad? I could use them for a costume." So he helped me make that belt.
Amazing. So that does it for the images.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm so glad you sent those. Thank you for giving us the insight and the visual look of what kind of energy and beautiful things be cultivating in those spaces that you co-create. And wow. So I wanted to kind of dive into specifically your ecstatic dances. So what kind of layout or what does it look like for folks that are kind of interested in maybe want a full view of what the layout's like, what they could be getting into, and what kind of intentions you bring into your ecstatic dance flows?
Very good question, Marcus. My ecstatic dance format is different than what you're going to get at a regular ecstatic dance event from another facilitator. And that's just from the nature of the way I was taught how to facilitate as a social worker, instead of coming to it as more of like a meditation practitioner or a professional dancer or a DJ. So what happens is, for the solstice and equinox ceremonies, it's going to be only women only. So there aren't going to be any men around, and so that beautiful divine feminine energy is going to flow throughout the room, and we're going to celebrate each other, and we're going to uplift each other, and we're going to feel that safety and freedom to move our bodies without the gaze of a man nearby, which is different than when I have co-ed workshops, which I also do as well, because I do workshops out in public. I go to yoga studios, I go to Reiki studios, I go to festivals and fairs, and I do this for co-ed groups as well. So if you're a woman and you're coming to a solstice or equinox ecstatic dance ceremony with me, what's going to happen? You know what? I have the same format for co-ed. It doesn't matter. This is how it's going to be. Okay, so you come in, and there's going to be, some incense burning. There's going to be some meditation music going. Someone will greet you. If it's not me, someone will greet you by the door and say, "Oh, hey, how you doing?" If we don't know you, we'll introduce ourselves. And just, there's a little bit of, talk around just to get everybody kind of comfortable with each other. And then I kind of call the room to order. And I have us do an icebreaker exercise where we'll just go around the circle. We'll get in a circle, and we'll go around the circle, and we'll say our names and just say a little bit about yourself. And then if you're new there, you just tell us why you came. And if this is not your first time, you tell us what brought you back, or something else. But that's usually the one I like to go to. And then if it's a big workshop and there's a lot of people there, we skip this part because we can't do an icebreaker with like 20, 50, 100. Well, we can do it with 20 people, but we can't do it like 50 or 100 people. It's too much. So if it's 20 or less people, we'll do the icebreaker. And then I will do a blessing, a prayer. And I'll burn some sacred smoke with sage, Palo Santo, some incense. There might be a time where we do, if we're outside, there's going to be sometimes a offering to Mama Gaia. It could be, just some fruit or some milk and honey or something that we just pour on the ground and offer it to Mama Gaia. And then I call in the ancestors and the spirits and the spirit guides that surround us and invite them to dance with us. I call in the spirits of the elements and invite them to dance with us. I call in the spirit of the divine in nature that is our mother, the earth. I invite her to dance with us. And then I call in the spirit of the divine that lives within each and every one of us. And I invite the spirit of the divine to dance through us. And then I do some grounding and releasing exercises. We might do some primal roaring, which is similar to primal screaming, but coming from a lower, more guttural place, more of a place of power, like, or as opposed to like a place of which is kind of make sound fearful. Before I do that, I'll do a meditation where I encourage people to think about what's been stressing them out, what's been causing them frustration, what's been causing them anger or rage. And then I have them think about where in their body they feel that. They'll feel a tightening somewhere, usually in their bellies, in their backs, in their jaws. When you think about things that cause you anger and frustration and stress, you're going to feel it in your body somewhere. So I have them find it in their body. And then I have them imagine what it looks like in their bodies, okay? So the anger that you hold inside your body, what does it look like, right? Is it a red light? Is it a blue flame? Does it look like black tar? Like, what does your inner anger look like? And then I invite people to imagine seeing this black tar or blue flame or red light circulating through their body. And I invite them to imagine sucking it all into one spot in their body, in their throat. So we go through a whole like body scan meditation where you pull it out of your toes, pull it out of your feet, pull it up your legs, up your arms, down from your scalp, blah, 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 until it's in your throat. And once it's in your throat, then we do the primal roaring, and we roar out the anger and this frustration and the stress that we've stored in our body. We roar it out. And it's really a beautiful releasing meditation. People really, they talk to me about that afterwards usually, especially if it's their first time, and just let me know that it really helped them. So that's another tool your listeners can use as well. And then once we release what no longer serves us, we fill ourselves back up with universal life force energy through that grounding meditation I spoke about several times, where you send your energetic roots down into the earth and you suck that beautiful healing energy from the core of Mother Earth into your body until you're overflowing with it. We do a little bit of breath work. We might do some fire breathing. And then we start to dance. And the first dance is always just a fun dance. It's just something to get your creative juices flowing, just something to get used to the feeling of meditating while dancing. So there's never an intention with the first dance of the dance circle. It's just to get used to this weird feeling of ecstatic dance. Because with ecstatic dance, as we've stated before, it's not like regular dancing at the club where maybe you've got some special moves or, there's some choreography or something going on. You are moving your body in however weird ways it wants to move to the music. So maybe you just want to do like this for a while. Why? I don't know, because your body's telling you to do this. That, whatever weird movements want to come through. So we do that for the first song, and then there's a little after each song. We do a little breath work. I encourage them to remember their interoception, which is a part of the opening where it's a somatic exercise where you pay attention to sensations inside your body. In particular, a lot of women report feeling disconnected from their bodies or even numbness in their bodies, usually due to trauma. Another wonderful tool that you can use if this is a problem that you're having, where you feel disconnected from your body, feel numbness in your body. And interoception just means to be curious about the physical sensations you feel inside your body, to just go inward, take a few and just be curious about sensations you feel in your body, and then name and map the sensations just for a few minutes a day. My hands are hot, my legs are tingling, my neck is stiff. Just whatever, naming and mapping the sensations you feel will train your brain to remake those connections to help you feel more connected physically to your body. So that's another part work that I bring into my dance to help you find healing. So we do some interoception exercises after each song just to ground ourselves, to breathe it out. We might do some vagus nerve stimulation. We might do some humming. Breathe out with a sigh or breathe out with a hum. As long as you can go. And that really helps to center you. And then before we play the next song, we'll have another guided meditation or another therapeutic practice. And each song is curated to match the planned guided meditation or the planned therapeutic practice that we do before each song. So something I bring into my ecstatic dance ceremonies a lot is inner child work. So if we're doing an inner child guided meditation, let me bring up the one that I did for the winter solstice, because that's my favorite one. So I do this guided meditation where you're walking through a forest. Before I do this, I can help you get into a trance state to help you meditate, get into a deeper state, and it'll help you reach a theta brainwave state, which is more calming. So a lot of people have trauma in their childhood. So if I take them into their inner child, they might have some trauma pop up, and that's okay. But I have a tool for them that will help calm their systems while they're talking to their inner child, and that's bilateral meridian tapping. And what that is crossing your arms over your chest like you're giving yourself a hug, but you find your collarbones and you take 2 fingers and you tap your collarbones bilaterally at a time on each side at a beat of approximately 3 to 7 beats per second. So I'd be like Mississippi, Mississippi. Maintaining this bilateral meridian tapping about 3 to 5 beats per second will lull your brain, theta brainwave, deep relaxation. It's a state of that you can get into hypnotherapy and EMDR therapy. So it really helps you to be present, but also it helps you process difficult traumatic memories, such as like an EMDR therapy, which I'm not trained in. So I'm not saying this is part of EMDR therapy. It's not. This is just part of my dance circles, and it's a tool that I use when I do the inner child guided meditation. So, we'll meet our inner children and we'll talk to them, and I'll guide you through this scenario where your inner child looks up at you and starts to cry. And you ask your inner child why. And the inner child tells you there's something you need to work on. And you say, what is that? And then you just listen and you let your inner child tell you what it is that he or she feels like you need to work on in your life. And then you take note of that and you thank the inner child and give your inner child so much gratitude for shedding the light on what it is he or she needs you to heal next on your healing journey. And then for that particular meditation, I also like to bring in your future self. So your inner child, once you tell them, okay, I'm going to heal that next, thank you for that suggestion, she or he runs off to play in the corner, and you hear a knock on the door, and you open the door, and it's you, but it's the older you from 10, 15 years in the future. And this is your future you, but it's not just any future you. This is your highest self future you, from your highest timeline, where you have reached and surpassed every one of your goals and dreams, and you invite her into this space. And then you give each other a hug, and you ask her, hey, what did you have to do? What healing modalities did you have to learn? What did you have to overcome? What are some habits and tools that you had to learn to get to where you are, where you're the healthiest, happiest, most abundant version of me? And then we sit quietly and we let our future selves tell us what we need to heal, or what we need to work on, what goals we need to do, or maybe it's just you need to work out, or you need to eat healthier, or maybe it's, the women and the men tell me that it's different things, because I'm not telling them what their future self is telling them what they need to do. Their future self is telling them what they need to do while they're in their trance state. And then after that, we, hug your inner child, you hug your future self, you walk out of the cabin, back down the trail, and then I bring everybody back out of their trance state, and then we'll dance with our inner children to the next song, which is usually something like child related, where it might be a little lullaby. And it's something usually kind of chill, because when you you talk to your inner children, and they might tell you need to, heal from sexual trauma that might have happened to you. And that's hard. So this is not a happy dance. This is kind of a slow back and forth. We're just dancing with our inner children to a lullaby, sort of a dance. And it somatically imprints into your system. When you do that somatic movement, it integrates the mental work that you did into your system a whole lot more than you would get if you were just doing this, face to face, just sitting in a chair with a therapist. Like bringing in the movement, the body movement, the somatic movement really does a lot more to integrate the work that you're doing into your body, mind, and spirit. So yeah, we'll dance with our inner children, but it's not always a happy dance, and that's okay, because sometimes our inner children just need to be held and loved and sang a lullaby. So yeah, that's a lot of the inner child work I do. I focus a lot on trauma healing, because that's my blueprint. That's what I came through, and that's my mission and my dharma. And that's what I have to share with the world, is how to heal from deep, horrible traumas and find yourself whole and healthy and joyful. So that's how I do my inner child meditations. So we usually dance to 4 to 5 songs total for our ecstatic dance workshops or ecstatic dance ceremonies. And then we'll always end, my last song is usually something having to do with enlightenment, or some sort of a final spiritual activation sort of a thing. A lot of times for my public workshops, I'll tell the story of the allegory of the cave, which is the most famous allegory in all of ancient philosophy. It's from Plato. And after the allegory of the cave, I'll give a little motivational speech, like an altar call almost, for enlightenment. And then we'll dance it out and encourage people to break free from their shackles that are holding them down in their darkness, to see themselves as whole, and to see themselves out in the light, and to look at themselves in all the beautiful colors of their souls, and to dance with that. And then after that, we will have a little closing ceremony where we stand in a circle and hold hands, and we do the same grounding meditation where you send your your energetic roots down into the earth, and you fill yourself up with life force energy from Mama Gaia. And then you observe that the healing light from your body is fusing with the healing light from the bodies of the women closest to you, or the men closest to you, whoever you're with. And you observe that your healing light and their healing light has all meshed together, and we have formed a sacred light a sacred circle of light. And then we sit there and we just bask in the community and the connection to Mother Earth and this beautiful sacred circle of light. And then we do a community blessing. And it's the same one every time. It's just a healing blessing where I'll say the sentence and they'll repeat it. And that goes, may all our sisters heal now. Or if it's a co-ed group, may all our brothers and sisters heal now. And then they repeat that. And I say, may we heal ourselves. May we heal Mother Earth. May we heal our connection to each other. May we heal our connection to ourselves. May we heal our connection to Mother Earth. And may we learn to live in our power. And to the stars above, to the earth below, to the waters and the winds, may we come into balance with all elements, within and without. And so it is. And then the circle is closed, and we have snacks.
Our founder claims, this right here is an embodied form of the violet ray spectrum. Tap in and tune in Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern, live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Grand Rising with Crystal Light, your sacred space for discovering the Ascended Masters in crystal healing. Ashe.
And that's what a dance circle, a dance ceremony with me is like.
Wow. Thank you for taking us into that journey. That's super, super beautiful. But then you do snacks afterwards? I mean, come on.
Gotta have snacks afterwards because you know you're gonna break a sweat, you're gonna do a lot of movement, and you're gonna work through a lot of things. You're gonna need a little cookie after that.
That's right. Absolutely. Oh man. You know, it always reminds me of Dragon Ball Z. You know, they do all that fighting and training, then they get all into the earth food. That I feel that though, you know. I do energy work and like I do sessions and stuff, and my body's just so hungry afterwards. It's so funny.
Yeah, when you're doing this kind of work, you're gonna need some nourishment when you're done, for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So a couple of things I'd like to kind of clarify for the public is so Ecstatic Dance, and especially what you serve uniquely, it does check off the boxes of potentially helping with things such as anxiety, depression, as well as PTSD and other health deficits that we go through in this human life. Would you say that Ecstatic Dance and the way that you uniquely serve it are able to help towards those things?
Absolutely, but not even just the extra stuff that I put into my dance, even regular dance has been shown to be a huge healing modality for depression, anxiety, and PTSD. In fact, Marcus, there has been a recent meta-analysis, which is a scientific study that studies other scientific studies. And so this meta-analysis was done of over 200 scientific studies with over 14,000 participants. So there's 14,000 depression patients. So there's 14,000 people suffering from depression. And they have them do all the things. Try all the medications, all the antidepressants, try the running, try yoga, try dance, try all these different modalities, CBT, DBT, internal family systems therapy, all different kind of therapies. And they found that through all these over 200 studies with over 14,000 participants, the number one most effective treatment modality for depression was dance. Not necessarily ecstatic dance, but just dance. But then I take it a step further because I add the extra stuff into the dance, so you're getting extra healing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Oh, cacao ceremonies. To the way that you like to orchestrate your cacao ceremonies.
Okay. So for the cacao ceremony, we'll start with some breath work. Well, first of all, we'll start with a prayer, always a blessing and a prayer. And we'll always have a sacred smoke to cleanse your energy and to cleanse the space. And then we start with some breath work, a guided meditation. And then I'll do a candle ceremony where you will light a candle and you'll focus anything negative in your life that you want to release, and you put it into the flame with your energy, with your mind, with your consciousness. And then as you watch the candle burn, you imagine in your mind's eye, you picture what it would look like in your real life for whatever it is you're releasing to burn away in your life. So if what you want to release, the energy you're putting into the candle is maybe a toxic relationship, then you would picture what it would look like to break up with that abusive person as you watch the candle burn. Or if you're releasing anxiety, you would meditate and you would imagine what it would look like for you to be free of anxiety, for you to be able to walk through Walmart without having a panic attack, for you to be able to be in a crowd and be okay. Or if you're releasing, an illness, imagine yourself healthy and well and whole. And then once we've spent some time with our candles, then we will, and again, I do the same meditation for all my ceremonies, where you send your roots to Mother Earth and you pull up the universal life force energy into your body. So you're overflowing with this beautiful energy and you're connected to Gaia. And then we make our cacao, and I use ceremonial grade cacao that's also infused with a mystic mushroom blend, but it's not the illegal kind that's psychedelic. It's like lion's mane and cordyceps and different kinds that's infused into the cacao. And you mix it with hot water, and if it's too bitter, you're supposed to drink it bitter for the best benefits, but if you just can't do that, I have honey if you want to add. And then the intention for the cacao ceremony is always just to connect to Gaia and see what her messages are for you through the cacao. And cacao has a lot of active ingredients in it, including, am I saying it right, thorabromine, which is a heart-opening chemical. That's why they call it the heart opener. And thorabroma, translated to English, means God food. So it's like food of the gods. And by the way, it's also what the processed chocolate is made out of. So chocolate is definitely the food of the gods, if any food is. So we drink it into our bodies, and the whole time we're connected to Gaia and just feeling any messages we're getting to us through her, through this connection, through the roots. And then afterwards we'll have some sharing. Well, the one that we're doing at the cave, before we do the sharing, we're going to do the sound bath and the individual energy sessions from Margie Longwell of Kuna Luna LLC is there to do quantum energy healing. Everybody gets a free session of quantum energy healing while we're doing the sound bath. So she's going to come around to each yoga mat and do her magic on you while you're meditating there. And then we'll have a group share, and everybody says what messages they received from the earth during that time. And then we have a little closing prayer, and then that's, you don't get a snack with the cacao ceremony. The cacao is the snack.
It's so funny. Oh my gosh. That sounds beautiful. I love cacao. I mean, cacao is just a staple, I feel like. And yeah, it's great that you're over in PA. We're pretty close actually, so I feel some collaborations coming up. And I'm actually curious if you know any indoor places or indoor venues that are pretty nice for retreats. Definitely let me know, outside of here.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking for a space either in Ohio, PA, one of these neighboring states for my New Year's retreat.
Okay, we can talk about retreats later.
For sure.
And we'll have to collaborate for sure. Yeah, I feel a collaboration coming on.
Absolutely. So, with all this being said, is there any moments or any experiences that kind of really stood out to you throughout time where maybe a guest or a client or a participant kind of had a life-altering experience and gave you the insight into what type of health benefit or transformation they went through, if you feel called?
Yeah, I can speak about one of my friends, and we got to be friends at the Heathen Festival, so that she's part of my soul family, and she's a member of Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle. I don't want to call her out because I don't want to put any of her business out there without her permission, so I'm not going to say her name, but she has struggled with a lot of depression and anxiety and a lot of social anxiety, and felt a tightening and a smallness and a shyness and a vice of anxiety around her. And she's written a couple little testimonials for me for my business. And she wrote one of my letters of recommendation for my ordination for priestesshood. And these letters and these testimonials are just so beautiful to me. She speaks about how she's been to almost every one of my dance circles, and each one has had a profound, I think that was her word, profound healing on her life. And her life has changed in so many ways since starting these dance circle ceremonies with me. She's told me that her therapist can't wait to hear about the latest dance circle ceremony she's been to, because her therapist wants to hear about all the stuff we did and all the meditations we did and what benefits that she got from it. And she has come a long way, and from being that shy little mousy girl that doesn't quite know where she fits in to being the ritual leader at her place of worship. So she has come a long way. She's out of her shell. She's doing wonderful things with her work, and she's doing better. She's making big strides. And I've had other people write testimonials to me too, for me as well, saying that leaving this event, I feel healed, protected, and enlightened. I've had people say that they leave the event feeling so much release. That's the word I get the most from people, is release. But then again, my ecstatic dance ceremonies deal a lot with release and a lot of trauma healing, so you're gonna get a lot of release. So that makes sense, yeah. I've had my very first one, I did, and I knew I was going in the right direction. This was at the Viking festival, where I was dressed up in the face paint and the antler belt, and I did my little thing for my little group of people. And one of the women in the dance circle came up to me later and told me that she had woke up that morning with a migraine and a stomach ache and just depression, anxiety, and she was not feeling it. She wasn't even sure she was going to go and do her vending that day. She was just not feeling it. She was in a mood and she was not feeling good, but she decided she'd come to my first ecstatic dance ceremony ever. And she said that she left there on such a high. She said her headache went away, her stomach ache went away, her sad, depressing thoughts that were running through her head went away. She felt no more anxiety the rest of the day. And she went back to her vending booth and made more money than she had made like the previous days at the festival. And she just had a wonderful, wonderful day. And then she gave me a gift, a token of appreciation for helping her heal just that day. And yeah, we've kept in touch. I love her. Yeah. So yeah, I do hear from a lot of women. And I've been compiling testimonials because I'm trying to build a website. And I want to have a whole testimonial page where you can read through and see the healing journey that these people have been on, and you can get a sense of what can happen for you if you join in on the fun.
That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Wow. What a beautiful journey and episode this has been. And I trust that, this is definitely given the collective a very, very wonderful insight to not only ecstatic dance, but the unique style of ecstatic dance that you offer and you serve, and your journey and your story as well. I mean, thank you so much for being vulnerable and just stepping up to the plate to want to share without even really knowing what was going on with this space and who I was. It takes a lot of courage, and yeah, just overflowing with gratitude. So thank you again for joining us, and I'll go ahead and leave the floor open to you for any final words or final messages that you have for the collective, and feel free to let them know properly where they can get in contact with you, what you have coming up that they can be a part of, and anything else that you feel called.
Thank you, Marcus. Thank you so much for that. My final words, my final message for the collective is that everybody faces darkness. And no matter where you are on your journey, you have the ability within you to climb your way out of that darkness and into the light. It may take a lot of hard work. It may take some elbow grease. It may take some time. But you're never stuck there. You don't have to stay in the darkness. You can break free from your shackles and climb your way out into the light. And also that we are all connected. We are all just one being, right? We may be separate vessels, we might be separate meat suits, but our souls, our consciousness is all one. There's only one thing, and it's all God, and we are part of that. So I would encourage the collective to find that place in their heart where that statement might resonate the most for them. And maybe they can find the divinity that lives within them as well. And where you can find me, if you liked this episode, if you like my teachings, if you're interested in my unique brand of ecstatic dance, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle. I'm working on getting a website up and running as we speak, but it's not ready yet. So you can find me in the meantime on Facebook and Instagram, Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle. On the social medias, I advertise my events. My beautiful and illustrious friend, Kat, owner of Kat's Treasure Tree, is also a graphic designer, and she makes all my flyers for me. So you'll find beautiful flyers for all of our events on the social media as well, with all the information, the dates, the times, the places, the ticket prices, and what you'll get at that event. So our upcoming events include... Well, I've got some public workshops coming up. Like I said, a Synchro Symposium, that's in Slippery Rock. That's September 5th through the 7th. On September 5th, I'll be holding an ecstatic dance ceremony at 11 p.m. after the final band, Guild of Gaia, is done playing. And then I'll have fire spinners with me as well. So it's a collaboration with Circus Days, who are amazing fire spinners. And then on Saturday, I plan on doing a healing water ceremony where we'll climb into the falls at Rock Falls Park, and we will sing the Algonquin water song on all 4 directions, send healing energy into the water, give some and then my friend Kat is going to collaborate with me on that. She's also going to do some water healing exercises with us. And then Sunday, I have a cacao ceremony collaboration with the yogi that will be there. His name is Darren, I think. So I'm going to open the closing ceremony with cacao, and he's going to close the closing ceremony with slow flow yoga. That's on Sunday. And then that's September 5th through the 7th. And then September 22nd or 23rd, I can't get into my calendar right now, but it's Tuesday, I believe that's the 23rd, and that is the autumnal equinox ecstatic dance ceremony. That one is for women only. Anyone who identifies as a woman is free to join. Well, it's not free to join, it's a $20 ticket, but you're invited if you identify as a woman. And so that's at the Homewood Volunteer Fire Hall, and that is in Beaver Falls. And then on Sunday, September 28th, that is Into the Cave, a healing journey, where we will climb into the cave. It's not much of a climb. It's really just a walk through a path in the forest. And then we do have to climb over a few mid-sized rocks, but it's not like rock climbing. You just gotta lift your leg a little bit and then climb over the rock. So if you're mobility impaired, it might be difficult for you. But we're going to climb into the cave behind the waterfall at Buttermilk Falls, where we will have a cacao ceremony, a sound bath, and energy healing. And that is September 28th at 2. We're meeting in the parking lot at 2:30, and the ceremony should start roughly around 3 p.m. And that is the last Sunday in September. In October, I have some workshops coming up at Healing Angels Reiki on October 8th, an ecstatic dance workshop. And on October 17th is going to be the Sacred Phoenix Sisterhood Circle Halloween party. The theme this year is a murder of crows. And this was all Kat's idea. She's the crow mama on this one. So this is a crow-themed Halloween party where we're going to have a crow-themed craft. We're going to have a little trinket swap. We're going to have spooky mini photo shoots with Amber. So come dressed up and get your spooky mini photo shoot and your craft. And I'll do a guided meditation, a spirit animal guided meditation. We'll have food and fun, and it's going to be a great time. So that's my September and October in a nutshell with public events.
Wonderful. I love to see all the opportunities that you're providing. And that Rockwater Falls, what's the date on that?
That's Sunday, September 28th. That's the last Sunday in September. Oh, I forgot, I'm also, the day before, I'll be at the Monroeville Convention Center in Pittsburgh doing 2 workshops there. That's at the Mystic Market Presents Parchments and Potions Convention. So there's a lot of mystical artisans, and there's also going to be workshops there. I'm going to do an ecstatic dance workshop and an ancestor ceremony there as well, where I do a guided meditation. We do the bilateral meridian tapping to help you get into a trance state, and then I do a guided meditation to open up a portal, and you can go between the veils and speak to your own ancestors and deceased loved ones yourself, so you don't need a psychic medium. You can do it. You have to teach them how to do it yourself. And that's at the Monroeville Convention Center on September 27th.
Wonderful.
The one in the cave is the next day, September 28th. I'm a busy girl, Marcus.
Hey, I'm the same way. I'm right there with you.
Yeah.
Right there with you. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing, helping out the collective.
Yeah.
Well, with that being said, go ahead and close it out. Thank you for a wonderful episode, and again, I just can't express how much gratitude I have. With that, I want to wish you a wonderful night, and for everybody else that's watching, whether it's day or night, by the time you watch this, I want to wish you a beautiful and prosperous continuous flow, and may you be able to feel the oneness through the love of the all. Thank you, Jessi. Wholeness and balanced love, everyone. 2023. Mother Gaia, third dimensional planet, ascending. Thank you from the Sacred Light Broadcast Network and Sacred Light Productions for tapping in and tuning in to all live and replay content, holistic, conscious, for your empowerment. Tap in to the Christ light within. Please like, share, and subscribe. And remember that you are the one that you have been looking for. Enjoy this content. If you would like to collaborate or receive production through myself, Marcus Crystallite, direct message or email me at marcustut23@gmail.com to discuss details. Wholeness and balanced love. Ashe.